Hey, good evening. Welcome to Facebook Live. This is Kathy Beatty. It's Friday night in Michigan here. It's turned really cool, so I put on a cozy shirt and snuggling in. Actually had some hail here, so the season's changing. It's Michigan. It's going to turn undesirable very quickly. I hope you had a good week. It's been a stressful week for a lot of us as a nation, as life moves forward with COVID, political, all that stuff, and then throw a few personal things in there for all of us. And of course, on top of all of this, you're dealing with a divorce. Now, I know that many of you are all of you are at different stages. Some of you are just beginning, you're in bewilderment, you're disoriented. Some of you are seeing the home stretch for the actual legal process of divorce, so it's almost finished. Some of you have been finished for a while and yet still find the need to be working on the trauma that you have gone through. And that's important. I don't just deal with actually going through the divorce. I actually deal with after the divorce. That's what this little workbook is all about, building your future after divorce. Because eventually, when we're through it, we want to begin building a new life. And I want to give you a little hope tonight in that area about building the new life. And that is why tonight we are going to talk about somebody's commenting. I love this. Thank you so much. Thank you, Facebook user. And I understand. That's why I try to do things later at night so we can have the kids settled. But that doesn't always work out. And that's okay. That's why we have replays, and that's really good. So many of you are through with the process, and now you're trying to begin to build a life. And we are kind of frozen many times, and we say, now what? Where do I begin? Where do I get started? So I want to talk about that a little bit tonight. I know there's a couple of quotes here, personal quotes of individuals who went through my program that I actually put in this workbook because I thought they were really good summaries of what that stage is like. One is from a guy by the name of Matt. The divorce is over. Now I can begin searching and researching living again. And you will get to that point, if you're not there now, where you want to start searching and researching living again. That's what we're going to talk about. Also, another one in here that's from Angela, who went through my group. Through all of this, I see how God provided when I didn't believe there was a way. That touches my heart because I know how true that really is. That when we feel hopeless and disoriented, there is a way. There is a way through this. So just like our commenter a little while ago, if you have questions or comments, feel free to post them and we'll discuss them, realizing that if you do have your profile up there, this does go into a private group and also into a public group, and it will go on YouTube. So I just want you to be aware of that if you were to make any comments or any questions. But you certainly can text me or call me and we can have a conversation. So that opportunity is always there. So tonight I want to talk about taking risks to rediscover my new life, of searching and researching, just like Matt said in the workbook, of how do we begin starting our new life. I've got a couple of really great quotes in here that I think are quite profound. And this is from one of my heroes, I would say, wonderful teacher, Chuck Swindoll, that when my kids were babies, I was listening to him on the radio every day. So he's a fabulous teacher. And he says life is 10% what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. So now we are in the reaction stage where, yeah, some terrible things have happened. But what is really going to matter now is how we are reacting to it. How are we reacting to our life right now, to the circumstances, to the former spouse or soon to be former spouse? How are we reacting to that? And when we react, a really good question that you might want to ask yourself through this process is not really what I want to do, but who is the person that I want to become? I know just last week in group, I told the folks there, none of you will hear the word divorce the same ever again. When someone says to you that they're going through a divorce, your gut's going to curl because you know all too well of what people are going through. It can create in you such an empathy, an understanding, and you'll never hear it the same again. So through this process, as painful as it is, we can grow, we can mature, we can become more than we ever thought possible. And I will tell you, God has given me some incredible surprises through the last 22 years of things that I never thought I'd be able to experience. And the secret to getting those experiences, another quote from Chuck Swindoll that I didn't get here, but I know I heard him say it, is just show up. We have to show up for our life. We cannot be a reflex any longer. We have spent so much time on a negative relationship and going through the trauma of divorce, spending the time, appropriate time of grieving and processing what we have gone through. So now we need to be redeeming the time and using the time effectively and deciding who is that person that I want to become. And that's what we do through the workshop as we spend 8 weeks together building our future after divorce, is we go through every area of our life and we determine, okay, what needs to go, what needs to stay, who is that person that I want to become, and what does that person look like, and what are the risks that I need to take to become that person? Because nothing changes without risk. So we have to decide, where are those areas in which I am going to take risk so I can grow. So this time will not be in vain, that I will leverage it and use it to become the person that God had in mind. And I'm going to use all of this pain and all of this opportunity to become that person which is stronger. And as the scriptures say, to become what God wants us to become more like Christ, who is the ultimate example of a purposeful life, a life of love, a life of understanding, compassion, by helping others and glorifying God. So one way that we have to go through this transformation is we have to let go of other people's expectations. You will hear me say this a lot because I find it so important. In fact, I may have even talked the last couple of weeks on it, or a couple of weeks ago, about people. Everyone has an agenda for you. The question is that the agenda that you have for you? The question is that what you want? Is that what God wants for you? So as we ask these questions, and it's continual. There are so many times when I step back even now and say, God, what do you want my life to be to honor you? Because I know the only way that I'm going to feel fulfilled and with purpose is if I am becoming that person that God has in mind for me to be. So the real question is, what do you want? And what does God want for you? And I have to share with you how truly exciting it is, the person that God wants you to become. Some people think, oh, it's just this boring, submissive person that that never gets to do anything fun. Oh, you don't know who God is. Because I've had so much fun once I got on the track that I believe God wants me to go. And He is patiently guiding me through that track every day. 22 years later after the divorce, every day of my life until I meet him and this life is over, he is going to be continually working with me to make me the person that I want to become and the person that he had in mind all along. In fact, another great quote. I have a few heroes. One of them is Chuck Swindoll. Another one is Corrie ten Boom. If you've never heard her writings or read her books, The Hiding Place, fabulous, fabulous story writer and person of godliness. And she states, this is what the past is for. Every experience God gives us, every person he puts in our lives is a perfect preparation for the future that only he can see. So think about how exciting that is. I mean, we look at this transition and it's so painful and so difficult, but it's not in vain. Every experience that God gives us, every person, that includes your former spouse. God put that person in your life. None of this is a surprise to him. But what he longs to do and wants to do is to take this and leverage it for your good because he loves you. And he is not a boring God. He will put you in places and give you things you will never, ever imagine when you trust him and you move forward. Romans 8:28. We know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose. All things can work together for the good. Now let's talk about risk because I'm sidetracking here. I want to talk about risk. Everything you want, and once you determine that and decide that, everything you want has with it an associated risk. And we talk about that as we go through building your future after divorce. We talk about this is what I want, and that takes work to determine what that is. Exactly, when you let go of other people's expectations, when you spend your time alone, focused, and we walk through that in the book, to determine what it is that you want. And as you list those, and that list may change, and that's okay, because we change. So as we make that list, this is what I want. This is what I want. Is it go back to school? Is it start a business? Is it, the list goes on, whatever it is that you want. Associated on the other side of the page is the risk that you have to take. Is that an investment in a new business? Is that showing up to meet new people in a new group? Is that making yourself vulnerable in a safe space so you can work through all the issues? Is that finding a therapist or pastor who can guide you through all of this? There's a risk. But if you want change and you want growth, you have to have risk. So here's your exercise for the weekend. If you will start writing out those things and what you want. For some of you, if you're in the middle of it, you can't even look ahead, and I get that. But maybe, just maybe, you can grab just one little glimmer of hope and start to jot down, what do I want my future to look like? That can give us hope. Maybe we know what we don't want it to look like. We don't want to be with someone who does not cherish us and honor us and love us. Use this weekend to write out just a couple of ideas of what it is that you want. On the other side of the page, write out what is the risk that I need to take to make this come true. And that could be anything. Could be a mentor, could be money, could be a courage. So that exercise alone is going to help us to begin to dream again. Our dreams are gifts. And I know many of you think, I can't dream. I'm so crushed. I can't even think of a future. Please know that there is one for you. I've seen it in so many people's lives. I know it is true for you as well. So where are those risks that you need to take? Begin to look ahead. What is it that I want? And look at it with surprise, anticipation. What if I could have anything? What would I want? And then just start to jot it down. It's okay if you make it big and bold. It's okay if you make it a couple of words. It's a start. It's a start in building your future after divorce. But to build it, you must take risk. Smart risk, not foolish ones. Smart risk. Hope that gives you some things to think about this weekend, to work on, to consider, and to believe that God has a beautiful, beautiful future for you. Connect with me, and we'll see you next week or throughout the week. Take care, and God bless you as you go through this journey of getting through divorce.